Unfortunately, a lot of people are putting a lot of effort and energy into content, into the personal brands, but they're just doing the wrong things. Nowadays, for people, you've got to create like a signature framework or do something which is a little bit innovative to stand out. But when you do, you can really get all of the benefits. By definition, to grow an audience, to grow followers, you need to be speaking to people who don't follow you. Even with 1,000 followers online, can have people like out there as marketers for them because your content is like working for you.
No Bullshit Talks is a podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. There's too much bullshit out there, especially when it comes to business. This podcast aims to highlight what's true and what's not in the world of entrepreneurship, bringing you honest and raw conversations about the roller coaster that is entrepreneurship. Each week, my guest will be a high-performing entrepreneur sharing the ups and downs of their journey and helping you prepare for the road ahead, while providing you with actionable insights and absolute gems of knowledge. Stay tuned as I introduce this week's guest. Joe Gannon is the founder of Amplify, the personal brand agency behind some of the biggest names on the internet, including Ali Abdaal, Jordan Peterson, Chris Williamson, and Sahil Blue. He built an 800,000 strong audience for Ali Abdaal, starting from just 20,000 followers. And he did it while most people had never heard his name. I present to you this week's guest, Joe Gannon.
I am super psyched about today's podcast guest because I have been trying to get him on the show for ages. And I mean, years. He was in London at the time, or was in the UK at least at the time. And our schedules just couldn't work out. And now he's moved all the way to Miami. And I've stalked him basically in Miami to hunt him down and bring him in the studio today to be able to talk to me. And I am really happy that he's on. He is one of the legit personal branding experts out there. There are very few who are really legit. He is one of them, and he has worked with some of the biggest names in the business, some of the best creators that you follow and love. That is Joe. He has been behind the whole strategy and building up their personal brands, and he is here to share how he did that, how he landed those clients, his journey, but also how you can genuinely build your personal brand as a business owner and a creator, and what that looks like, and just some legit steps for success. So I am super psyched that this episode has been in the works for several years, and it shows you that hard work, consistency, grit, determination, resilience, all the buzzwords of entrepreneurship really does pay off, because we're finally here today. Welcome, Joe, to No Bullshit Talks.
Yeah, lovely to meet you finally.
I know. How long has this been in the works?
We've been flirting for like 3 years. Across time zones, across countries as well.
Across different mediums, like
Yeah.
LinkedIn, email. I can't believe I am now, instead of in London sitting with you talking, we're in Miami talking.
Yeah,
And
in your massive studio, how you've grown since.
I wish everyone could see the space, because it is
It's good.
massive.
Crushed it.
I don't own this, sadly, but I mean, we can pretend right for now. That's okay. But why are you in Miami? I feel like, let's talk about you first. I guess quickly introduce yourself for those who don't know you, and then let's say, why the hell are we in Miami?
Yeah, so I'm Joe. I've been running an agency called Amplify, all about personal branding, building content for the last like 4 or 5 years. Always been an international business, remote teams, based in the UK initially, but yeah, the last year and a half I've now found myself in Florida. So yeah, when you mentioned that you're here in Miami, we had to hook up, we had to make it happen. And yeah, like it's been interesting to move, but I think similar to you, always been sort of nomading and doing travel and enjoying that flexibility. Obviously, COVID is how I started my business. It was sort of forced to sort of figure things out myself, which we'll discuss today. And then when COVID sort of finished, really wanted to maximize having the freedom and flexibility in my business. And then that allowed me to travel more. So yeah, I really love the work that we do. Grateful to have the team that we have and for everything to be able to be remotely. I never saw myself moving the UK. So I know a lot of people right now are leaving the UK.
Yeah.
Bit of a hot topic, but for me, it just seemed natural. A little bit more for like lifestyle reasons. Mm-hmm. But now I found myself here, there's a lot of opportunity as well. So we can expand a little bit more in the American market.
Yeah, definitely, because I think so many people would love to move to the US, but it's not that easy, which we'll talk about too. But yeah, I think like what you just said, the flexibility of freedom, I think that for me is what true success and wealth really is. Like, as a personal brand expert, like so many people talk about success and wealth and what that looks like. But for me, running your own business it is that freedom and flexibility to be able to do what you want when you want. And I was saying this to my friend last week. We had a client who was soaking up so much mental energy, physical energy. Like, they just wanted me essentially full-time for a tiny percentage of full-time wage. And they were just, and I was like, I can never have a client do that. That's the point. Like, if I'm allowing a client to take up that much space of my time, then I failed as a business owner, because I started a business to have the freedom. Otherwise, why don't I just go get a normal 9-to-5 job and then switch off and get perks and benefits, and when I'm on holiday, I'm on holiday, rather than bothering me all the time. So I was like, if I need to realize that the moment I start having things that interfere with my flexibility, then I'm not doing the right thing. And I think, like you said, you can just pick up and go anywhere in the world and do what you want when you want. That's true success, I think.
Yeah, I think the first half of starting this business, I was definitely more reactive, like to the work that came inbound. Like, we really sort of hit the ground running initially. We had some great early clients we can discuss. And then we got into circles of trust, and then all this attention was coming inbound, but I hadn't necessarily designed it, what our true ICP is, or what is our signature frameworks, or what's our methods and everything. It was all just like the market wanted what we could offer, right place, sort of right time. But to your point, like the first sort of half of my business, maybe the first 2-3 years, was just reacting to everything that came inbound. Like, not once did I stop, remind myself why I was doing it. And then, eventually that does lead to sort of some path of burnout.
Yeah.
People have different mixed opinions on what that is. But I think if you don't intentionally design why you're doing this, to your point, and I think that why it does evolve. Maybe the reason you start a business has changed. So you got to check in with yourself, like, why are you still doing this?
Yeah.
It takes a lot out of you, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about what you actually do, though, because I feel like you started, how old were you when you started that business?
So yeah, we're sort of self-employed at like 22, and then I think the Amplify started as an agency around 24.
I mean, that's young for starting an agency, I think. Okay, it's not that young these days, because I feel like everyone's young, but it's still young. And, at 24, most of the time, you don't know what you're doing. Like, you're kind of new to the market. But you have launched your first business, and it's, like you said, it's hit the ground running, and you've got a very successful company from your first ever business. And that's not normal. Like, I think that's what people would like to glamorize, and how easy it is. And maybe you could do a lot of content on how easy it is and follow your 3-step framework to making a successful business overnight. I'm sure that would work. But we're on a no bullshit podcast, and you're here to tell me that that's probably not exactly how it went. But from the outside, it does look like a perfect success story. It looks like, oh, okay, you're super young. You jumped on the personal branding trend like so many people did. You landed A-list celebrities in your client base overnight, and here you are now living life in Miami. That's what the fairy tale could say. But what was it really like? What did that journey look like?
Yeah, I think in the early days, the previous mentor said to me that the best part of me really was one thing, which was enthusiasm. So in my evenings and weekends, I enjoyed what has become the creator economy. Like, I was listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, reading books. Like most entrepreneurs or people who are entrepreneurial was doing that anyway. And then it just kind of naturally happened where I was realizing that I could probably support some of these people because I was obsessed with their content. And that soon became Ali Abdaal, the YouTuber, who's got 6 million YouTube subscribers. He really is just a thought leader in the space. Like, he was doing, teaching YouTube and underway for years with YouTube with, what is now like common knowledge, but he was an industry leader. He referred me to Chris Williamson, who we've worked with for 3.5 years. He's now in the top 10 in the Spotify global charts. So there's, I'll be the first to say that, I got in at the right time with certain people, but then obviously, you have to prove yourself because they're at the top of their game. They are the true professionals. Everyone looks to them and thinks that it can be replicated. I think, but to what I initially said, like, I was enthusiastic and I genuinely was consuming some of these people's content all the time. And then there was a transition then where I was suddenly being paid to watch those videos or to edit the content, which was, it was felt unbelievable at 21, 22 to be doing that. And then, it's sort of compounded from the fact that it's circles of trust. These people at that level, it's not going on to Google or ChatGPT and saying, like, I need a video editor, who's the latest thumbnail designer, who's a content strategist. Like, they text in these groups, in these circles, and they'll go based on recommendations. So, and I'm sure you benefit from that with your business. Like, if you just do a great job for like one person, so much happens afterwards. And I say that is really the through line of my story. But to your point, it's not been a smooth ride at all. I think I'm coming up to 5 years as an agency. It was never meant to be an agency. Like, I was that individual, like the social media manager at the first stages. I enjoyed the content strategy side of things. That was my zone of genius. But so when TikTok came and the whole content landscape changed with vertical video, I needed to hire editors. I wasn't an editor. I got as far as I could with that, but that wasn't my skill set. So the clients needed us to become an agency. We needed to become a team. And then that's how an agency formed. It took me like 3 years to realize I have an agency and I should probably talk to other agency owners and understand the business model. But I genuinely didn't do that for like 3 years. Wow. But I was lucky. I think in the first 12 months, a lot of work was coming inbound. And we just swimming as fast as I could and keeping up with it. I did burn out at a certain point, but I think that's when my sort of maybe naivety about business and really understanding a business and what a business needs versus just the craft and the artistry of what I was used to doing. That's kind of where things broke because I hadn't learned about finances or operations, or like if a business is a chair with 4 legs, I didn't realize all of the things it needs to prop up objectively. And eventually that comes to bite you. Now I'd say in the last year or two, I've focused more on being a business owner, understanding what that means and understanding how to cover my weaknesses. And that's been a whole journey.
Yeah, I mean, but even listening to you now, I feel like the way you were like, oh yeah, we landed Ali Abdaal as a client, and then he passed us on to Chris Williamson. It still sounds like you've had an easy journey. Like, I mean, you're just landing these big A-list celebrities. But how did that happen? Because I feel like that's everyone else's dream, right? They want to land, like I said, one big name to prove yourself. Because obviously you've got to do a good job. That's the thing, right? You've got to prove yourself. And then that person's like, they're amazing. Here's another bunch of people in my network that you can work with. How did that start though? Because obviously you need to start somewhere. And how did that start?
Yeah, my first so I've never been in a full-time job for more than 9 months. Okay. Probably will continue for the rest of my career. So my brother is like way smarter than me and stuff. And he's 2 years older than me. So he was like, out of university, you should probably get a big logo on your CV. And I was like, all right, I'll just follow the big brother's advice. So we live near Cambridge, that's where I'm from. So he was like, oh, there's a job for Cambridge University as a social media assistant. You should get that. So I literally just applied, didn't put much into it. I didn't get the role, but the guy brought me in afterwards and said, hey, out of 200 applicants, we're going to bring you on as a temporary worker, as a temp, because we think, like an intern. Yeah. Because you're young, we think you're probably going to be good at this. Right. And it was a new social media department. Yeah. So I'm 21 and suddenly I'm working my first job at Cambridge University. Amazing team, but maybe the environment wasn't for me. And the whole Ali Abdaal story, one day, one of my closest friends in the office comes in and just starts talking about the student who's, not only is he a junior doctor, he's got a business, a podcast. And I just heard this and I was just like, who are you talking about? And then typed in Ali's name on Google. On his website, he said, if anyone's ever in Cambridge, I'll meet up for a coffee. And I have so I didn't know who this person was. For some reason, I email him. And then he replies within a minute, which kind of speaks to the productivity guy. Yeah, that's who he is. Replies within a minute to a stranger saying, hey, can you meet up in after work, basically. We just really got on. We talked about Tim Ferriss, the 4-Hour Work Week, and all these different things. He paid the dinner, which was great. He then said, let me show you a bit more what I do. We went to his studio. He had an old camera, an old Kindle he didn't need from a sponsorship. So I left that evening with a part-time job, an old Kindle, and an old microphone that he didn't need. And then I was like, what the hell has happened today? How has that happened? So we mentioned before this, about serendipity. I was ready. I loved personal development content. I was reading books like The 4-Hour Work Week. I was primed and ready, but I couldn't really say that I did anything in that situation. Then I became probably the most enthusiastic person. I'm just like, you should do this, you should do that. He didn't have a LinkedIn. At the time, he had a business trying to help students get into med school. So I was like, you should probably be on LinkedIn. And then he at the time was he had, I think, 50,000 YouTube subscribers, let's just say, 10,000 on Instagram. But I soon created a Twitter account for him, LinkedIn, became TikTok, and pretty much became the guy, anything you can't do or don't want to do, I'll do that for you. Wow. And that's how it started. But honestly, he has changed so many people's lives. He changed my life. I've never met anyone more gracious and giving. Yeah. And I'd actually say that the same as Chris Williamson and all these other people. Chris Williamson's now been a part of me getting a visa to be here. Yeah. So it really speaks to the levels of these people, not just professionally and how they take their craft, but I owe a lot to them. I can't really take much credit. But then I would say I worked hard. Yeah. So that's all I kind of did in that process.
I feel like Ali's one of the ones that I vouch for as a no bullshit person, because I also followed him back in the day. I was probably following him when you were probably started working for him. I didn't know it was you behind that. But it was, I really liked his stuff because he was real. He was just doing, and when I've met him a few times now, and he was great. And actually, he he was really sweet because I think like when I met him and he told me he thought I had a really good radio voice. And then I was like, does that mean I'm ugly? Because I've got like a face of radio. And I was like thinking, what? And then he was like, I said, I have, because you should have a podcast. I was like, I do. And then he was like, hit subscribe. And I was like, oh, that's cool, Ali, and subscribe to my podcast. So hey, shout out Ali if you're actually listening. I don't think you are, but you should do if Joe's on it. So like, and he was great. And then he basically gave me like access to his PTYA course, amazing. That's what made me start my YouTube. And actually it's funny because I've now gone back and re-enrolled in that because now I've created a few videos, because he always says to me, don't talk to me until you've done 100 videos, right? That was what his thing was. I've now done so many videos, they're not good, don't get me wrong, I'm still learning, but I'm now going back and re-watching and taking his course because I've now got all these things to learn from. But he's always, I've seen him with everyone else, like he just has so much time for people. I think it's the people who actually also put the effort in, and you can see the enthusiasm and see and I think what you've said there, like you were saying, some people hearing this story probably think, it's luck. He just landed this role, right? But I don't see it as luck. I see like there's so many other things. Like if you'd gone to, first of all, you had to reach out. How many people do that? Yeah, like how many people actually take the time to reach out to someone like that, cold, and like I'll be happy to kind of do that. First of all, that's number one. Secondly, you turned up. People are scared to do that, meet a stranger and just take an opportunity. But the fact that you connected with him and you impressed him because you spent all those years learning all that stuff, like I said, you're absorbing all the content, you're already primed for that role, but you just didn't know you were. And I think that's the difference, is that people don't do the hard work behind closed doors. They expect to land all the opportunities because they think they're entitled to it. But you spent how many hours consuming the content? Like you were there and you knew what works and what didn't work. You just needed a chance to prove it. And yes, there's an element of luck in absolutely everything. The fact that Ali saw your email, connected to it, and like actually spent the time and actually, took the time to do that. Not many people will do. But you earned that space, and that's what I think people don't realise. That like I think people, if other people turned up, they wouldn't have connected with him as much, and that's the difference. So I think Yeah,
I think one email can change your life, and I think we said before about lifestyle design or business design. Like whether you're out of work right now or in a job you don't like, people do not take any time to consider like who are the people or brands the brands I use already, the people that I enjoy already. Why don't I try and get around them? Because now on the other side, and you have it too, like hiring teams and stuff like that. It cuts through all noise when someone like clearly sends a message where they're clearly interested or they've clearly checked out something that you do. And I think I even now with like clients we're going after, like remind myself all the time, like who do I actually want to work with? Like I have a choice.
Yeah.
We have a choice of who we work with, all these different things. And that's not just related to being a business owner and clients, but if someone's out of work, I always say this to friends, it's like, if you didn't enjoy your previous job, like what brand would you love to work for? Like why wouldn't you want to start there and then tap into that energy? Because to your point, people don't do that. No. And there's not maybe the public figures nowadays, have inboxes which are gatekept by assistants and stuff, maybe. But even then, maybe have one platform, which is a side project or a personal blog or something like that, an old email address somewhere. Like, maybe I shouldn't say this, but on LinkedIn, most people's personal emails are on their profile.
Yeah.
Like, it's there. Just say that or not. But I get emails all the time to my Gmail. I'm like, how the hell has someone found my email? Oh, it's on LinkedIn. Or, find an old personal blog, to my point. So people don't take that time to start with energy, and I love the whole concept around energy management more than time management. People don't do that. So yeah, I think a part of I kind of followed my curiosity and what I enjoyed. And you mentioned P2IA, so then Ali, doing great work with Ali, then Chris Williamson, I think had about 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, was taking Ali's course.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of nuts thinking about it, knowing where Chris is now. Like I feel like, wait, he's okay, that's my projection.
Yeah, a lot happened in the first cohorts. And, cohort, this was like 3 or 4 years ago now. Ali was really at front.
Yeah.
Like, he's really at the front of all this stuff. But it was a referral. And then I did the same thing for Chris. The first thing that I worked on was me editing clips for the Jordan Peterson episode. Like, Jordan Peterson was ill for a couple of years.
Yeah.
The episode went on to be one of Chris's, like, kind of the inflection point for Chris.
Yeah.
But he'd been already doing 3 episodes a week, like for 4 years at that point.
Was it that many?
Yeah, he's done 3 episodes a week. He saw what Joe Rogan was doing in the US and was like, I'm going to do the same in the UK. As a professional podcaster, he's the biggest pro.
Wow, and I'm just shocked at that, just from the fact that there's always the conversation around consistency and what does that look like. It doesn't have to mean frequency, but like the fact that he was churning out so many videos, like everyone I speak to, obviously, who's a business owner, it's different from being a content creator. Obviously, it's a very, very different thing. But it's like, does that mean if you post that many times, is it going to pay off? It's not always going to pay off. Obviously, it's got to be quality. But that's a lot. That's a big commitment that he did. And he did that every single week.
Yeah, I think now it's been 7 years, 3 episodes a week.
He's still kept it up for...
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, this is the thing. People join creators' journeys at different points, and now they see the studios and the sets. And he invested to do like these like 4K episodes and all this sorts of stuff. But like, he's been doing this for 7 years, and it compounds. And so... And then that went great with Chris, another person who's changed my life because, he since moved to Austin. And when I saw that happen, I thought, what a move. Like, he's such a professional. Like, he's moving to Texas because this is where the podcast stuff is booming. Tim Ferriss is there, Joe Rogan's there. And at the time, I was like, wow, what a move. Like, what a gamble almost for your career, and like to bet on yourself. And then like 2 years later, I've used the same lawyer I asked Chris for a referral. He gave me the lawyer, and I've got the same visa as Chris from his referral. I don't know. I think it's like, be enthusiastic. If you be enthusiastic around the right people, they can give you 10x opportunities, which will change your life. Then obviously you've got to be able to learn the skills and be someone worthy of those opportunities. But that went well with Chris. Chris at a bar in Texas was with Jordan Peterson, and I get a text in the morning in the UK being like, just gave your name to Jordan Peterson at the bar. And I'm like, what's happening? And that's kind of been kind of what kept happening. And that's sort of the thought leaders and the creators, but then we've sort of taken that knowledge to help more entrepreneurs. And you just mentioned there, like, there's a difference between being a creator and a founder. For a long time, Amplify was marketing to both because we were getting both coming inbound, but its differences, it comes down to the purpose of the podcast or the YouTube channel or your LinkedIn. And that's stuff that I enjoy teaching now today because it is different strategies. And everyone needs to know why they're getting into this. Because for a lot of us, you can put a lot of hours and time into it and get no immediate payoff. But there's definitely, I think everyone who tries it sees the indirect benefits. But people usually go into it, I want to get sponsorships, I want to make money from this. And it's a noisy space. It doesn't always happen. Yeah,
and actually this is something that because I said to you, I said earlier, like I started a YouTube channel. And I think I only started it because everyone said I should be on YouTube. And I don't think I really had a passion for what I wanted to create on YouTube, because like I said, it's a noisy space. I admire, I said, Ali Abdaal, and I love his content. I've always been very educational, so I always want to do like an educational style content. But what do I create it on? Because everyone's already doing that. And it's really hard to break into a space where you've already got massive thought leaders like the Ali Abdaals of the world. And like, what do I create content on? And obviously I've got special niches. Like I've got this kind of cool niche where I am like a chess master with an MBA and I'm teaching like chess strategy for business, and that's really cool. But at the same time, I don't want to be known for that, and it sounds really rude, but I just don't want to be known for that. I think I'm so much more than that. And yes, it's a cool kind of thing I have, but I love having really cool conversations with entrepreneurs, and I love this sort of stuff where I'm like getting real shit out of people, like not the same stuff that everyone talks about. I want to go deep, and I feel like when I talk to people, people love like the conversations that we have, and I think that I do have the ability to bring good content out of people, but I can't do that on my YouTube channel by myself necessarily. And actually, funny thing is, I was thinking about, I've taken a break from it just for this month while I'm touring. It makes it sound cooler than it is. While I'm touring here, and I thought about talking about the content that is content as a content creator versus content as a business owner, because I'm talking a lot to business owners and I keep seeing so much content out there which is all geared at creators, and I think when business owners try to take that same advice, it's a detriment to their business sometimes. And I think that's funny you mentioned that, because that's the sort of direction I want to take my content in. It's very much because my people are entrepreneurs and business owners. And so that's the angle I want to do it, but I'm still kind of working out what that looks like. But yeah, I definitely want to talk more about it.
We could talk, I think that the difference between successful brands and that don't go on to work is that through line. So you can have all this social media activity, all this content, but if there's not a through line to your objectives, then that's the biggest problem. And we teach this in cohorts now, where the first thing is like, what's your personal brand objective? What are you trying to do? If it's leads, then you need to reverse engineer backwards from leads. Okay, then it's maybe discovery calls. Okay, then is it like a newsletter? Is it a lead magnet? Is it then social media? And then you map that funnel out, or that sort of marketing funnel. So I think with everyone, it's like, what are you doing this for? People usually say revenue, usually say leads. For yourself, like, if you're building an ecosystem, like, is it to share useful content for your community? Is it to put you out there and to be able to get into the right rooms? Like, you don't need many reasons, but you just need to have a singular reason, which isn't borrowed from someone else. And I think nowadays, like, I love what you said. I think with the chess and the NBA, the first step is like be memorable, and then the second step is probably try and be a maker, like make a category.
Yeah.
Greg Eisenberg, who we worked with for a year before his like podcast absolutely blew up. He said this to me. He's like, a podcast nowadays needs to be a show, like it needs to be bingeable, and like he said that like maybe 2 years ago, and he had like 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, and then he's now got like 500,000. And I'm like, I've watched that clip back so many times. Like he literally, like he said that before he took off, and I was like, that's it, that's the gold. Like you need to build a show. Like what's the core concept? He was obsessing over the music of the show. He wanted a jingle. For me, with the Diary of a CEO, I don't know why I didn't put two and two together, but when I first saw the trailers, which initially felt like revolutionary, like a trailer for a podcast, it took me a year to realize that films have trailers. I was almost embarrassed.
Movie producing, essentially. Each one's a little movie.
I was almost embarrassed to realize that because it felt so innovative in the industry, but you just need to borrow things from elsewhere. So with going back to Greg with his podcast, it was like, let's have a jingle and let's make it fun. And he's a little bit more introverted, so he wanted to be the host. And he's more in the tech scene, and with everything with AI, he was so ready for that wave because he's always been known for his writing, commenting in AI and tech. But now he just grabs the latest founder or entrepreneur who's just had the most innovative thing in AI, brings them on for a pod, they share their screens, and it's over to the guest. So he can react in 24, 88 hours, and that's his goal, that's his zone of genius. So I've seen so many examples where people have stumbled on that, like, where just the stars align, it seems, but it's always from what they're interested in. And they've always done so much work beforehand that it looks like it was just luck, but it wasn't. They were just ready.
Yeah.
I think for myself, platforms, success comes and goes. Both of us have used LinkedIn a lot. TikTok changed people's lives. But that was one sort of wave that came, and I saw it happening. And you kind of see that if you hit volume on that platform, you could probably go from nobody to successful. But it never felt like my opportunity. So I've sort of helped clients grow there and saw that opportunity come, but sort of waited, observing it. That's not for me. I want to do educational content. So the great thing about our space is that there's always opportunities, there's always waves, and if you just keep learning skills, networking, build a community, at some point everything's going to align and you can be ready, and then you can make something which is a little bit more unique. I think nowadays for people, you've got to create like a signature framework or do something which is a little bit innovative to stand out. But when you do, you can really get all of the benefits.
It's funny you mentioned Greg because he's one of the people I reached out to try and interview when I was here this time. I do this thing now where I'm trying to reach out to people who are so out of my reach, and because it's almost that getting used to that fear of rejection. And it's like, what's the worst they could do? They could just ghost you. Most of the time they're going to ghost you. It doesn't really hurt, but or they're going to be like, no thanks, you're too small fry for me, or whatever, it's not worth my time. But that's life, right? And if you don't ask, you don't get. And I just feel like he's one of the people I was like, he's in Miami, I'm going to reach out to him and see what happens. He didn't say anything, so but maybe one day, like I said, maybe I do a Chris Williamson and go all in on myself on a podcast, and in a couple of years' time, maybe he will become a guest on my podcast. You never know.
I love what you're doing. I think keep staying in the game, keep getting the consistency, and you do, the path becomes clearer as you take steps.
Yeah.
So so many people stop with podcasts in particular. Everyone just stops.
Yeah. I want to keep going. I'm going all in now. Like I said, I'm bloody in Miami doing it. This is not half-assing it. This is like full-assing it. So I feel like I'm doing it. Let's see where it goes. But we should talk about personal branding because I feel like that is your expertise. We've obviously touched on a little bit about it. Like you said, what you've done for like Ali and Chris and everything. But I talk a lot about personal branding and how bullshit it really is. And there's so much bullshit in this space. You started this during COVID, when I think it's when the personal branding boom just kicked right off. And there were so many people in the space who are big deals now, but I still think are full of bullshit. And they have ridden this wave and they've manipulated the system, they've bought their followers, they've done all this stuff, and they're still pushing out like a lot of crap out there. I think one of the reasons why I really liked what you did and do personally is because, like I said, I saw you start out, but you produce genuine, tangible results for real people. Like you've just said, you had Ali when he was like 10,000 subscribers, all these people. They're all at millions now. These guys are literally the top of their game, and you did that. There's a big difference. And for me, there's a huge difference between doing that on YouTube, which is a ridiculously difficult platform to actually conquer and do that stuff, versus LinkedIn or Instagram, where people are still manipulating the algorithm, buying their followers, and still able to fake things. You can't really do that on YouTube as much. And so that's why I was thinking, like, you're one of the few people in the game who have actually got proof with real tangible results and real big clients. What is your thought on the personal brand space of, like, you know, how it's changed from when you started to where it is now, like, and what is real personal branding? What does it, or should it look like for people when they're investing in it?
Yeah, I mean, a lot goes into these like outlier successes, but we've on a day-to-day basis, we work with people who were experts in real life but had no online presence, and we've started fresh channels and been successful too. So I think there's three main things. You've got like systems, you know, having a system which is sustainable for the individual, for the expert, you know, the strategy of the platforms, understanding the platforms and like the native content and formats and the trends. It's a whole full-time job. And then, you know, beyond systems and strategies, it is that positioning. Like, you have to be crystal clear on who you are, what you do. And obviously with socials, like it says it in the name, like you need to create stuff which is savable and shareable. And if you're doing content which is speaking to someone, even if they're not your ICP, they need to be able to go, okay, cool. So Sabrina, like the no bullshit entrepreneur, okay, amazing. And even if you want to expand that branding in the future, great. But at least right now, people are working for you in the background, and that's kind of the, you know, that's where all the benefit is. That anyone, even with 1,000 followers online, can have people like out there as marketers for them because your content is like working for you. And we teach that, you know, you need to start somewhere. You need to sort of own a category or things like that. But I agree with you. There's a lot of people who live in the growth hacks and the tactics. I just never do that myself. I think there's patterns across platforms, and being in this for long enough now can kind of see more of the principles of like how to build an actual engaged audience and stuff. But success for anyone listening to this is really like, success with your personal brand would be that you had a goal and you've achieved it, and that looks different for everyone. So is it that you are more on like the audience path, we call it, or the leads path? So the audience path is you want to put content out there, educational content or entertainment, build traction, just help so many people that you begin to get known. And then you're going to monetize the fact you have an audience, which could be public speaking, it could be sponsorships. And you are going to build an audience and monetize the fact you have an audience. Like, that's the audience path. The leads path is when you're doing this for your business. I think to your point with the personal branding boom, definitely the younger generation, I'd include myself, we think that social media marketing is the only form of marketing. But you can get clients with paid ads, you can get clients with leaflets and flyers, you can get clients with SEO, but everything, because it's the self-fulfilling prophecy that we all spend time on our phones and on these platforms, we can forget there's other forms of marketing. But on the leads path, it's like, right, like, is content marketing a good idea for you as an entrepreneur and a founder? Beyond just putting yourself out there, beyond it maybe enjoying the process, but can this help your business, and how would it help your business? Then that informs the platforms you should be on, it informs your strategy, informs whether you do it yourself, whether you have a team. And that's the leads path, which is that you're using your personal brand as a marketing asset, obviously directly related to sales, and then in the long term, it should be revenue. And it's fine to do both. If you're seeing that you're on the leads path and you're trying to get leads from your personal brand, but you don't have any presence online and you're not clear on who your content's speaking to, you probably need to build your audience first. You know, if your total audience size is like less than 10,000 people, probably you should just do the upfront work of your positioning, get a system that works for you, and then with the strategy, just live and breathe on the platform and the strategy you understand. And then at a certain point, you'll start getting inbound attention and you can sort of shift gears. But when we teach this in a cohort we always say, like, are you on the audience path or the leads path? Because there's two different things. And people on the leads path are usually very impatient with the results, but then it's like, you're not clear on who you are, what you're trying to do. You don't want to give much time to this content thing. Honestly, like, maybe you should just do paid ads, or maybe you should just do SEO, or maybe like you've told me that 90% of your clients come from referrals. Why are you trying to grow a personal brand when none of them look at your content or website or profile? So I don't know. I think a lot of people think this is like the only answer. So to your point, like, there's a lot of misconception, and people think it's the only solution.
So exactly what you just said. You said audience path versus leads path, but that's me talking about content creator versus business owner. That's the same thing, right? So it's like the content creators on the audience path usually, the business owners on the leads path usually, right? So this is the same thing I talk about, but obviously on a much lower scale, but it's the same sort of thing. And you said about the leads path are kind of impatient. I get that, because they're expecting leads in instantly. And like you said about, why are you doing this? Maybe you should be doing SEO. I say this all the time to business owners because my clientele, like I've been running a creative agency, so usually the people that I talk to are business owners, and we do a website for them, we do some marketing content, and again, SEO, ads, all that stuff should be coming into it. That way of marketing is so trustworthy. And email marketing, we need to talk about that because email marketing still has the best ROI of almost any form of digital marketing. But people are sleeping on it because it's not front and center. You can't brag about your emails going viral or looking impressive because no one really cares how many replies you got, even if it makes you more money. It's social media, like you said, people think it's the only thing because they can, it's like this badge of honor to go viral or whatever. People see and they go, oh, you're popular because you've got so many followers or whatever. And I think that's it. So for me, I hear all the founders I speak to are like, I must have a personal brand. I need to build my personal brand. People coming to me all the time going, can you help me build my personal brand? I'm like, do you even know what it is? Like, they don't even understand what a personal brand is. They think it means posting on LinkedIn. Like, that's what they think it is. And they don't get how much of a system it is. We spoke offline a minute ago saying, not offline, but off air. We were just speaking earlier saying that I reckon that I said that your personal brand really works for you because there were so many times with people saying, I need to talk to you, a different part along the way. For me, that's personal branding, is when you're consistently recommended at different angles. And I think when your name keeps coming up, it's reinforcement that you're good at what you do. And I think that's a difference. And so many people said that to me, like, another lady, she was like wanting to work with me because she said, well, 3 different people recommended you from different parts and like not even connected to each other. And I'm like, that's real personal branding. And I don't know whether they've seen my podcast, my YouTube, my LinkedIn. I don't know where that is. And obviously it's a bit of everything combined. And I think that founders think they need to do a personal brand because everyone else is claiming that's what's doing it well. But like, what would you think? Like, what do you think? Because you're working with, like I said, you're the big name guys, but you said that you're helping out business owners. Do you believe that everyone needs a personal brand? Do you believe that everyone should be working on content and having a personal brand? Because some people hate being in front of the camera. Some people hate kind of being front and center. They want their brand to do that well. I think that's the question that I would sort of like to ask, because I think it's changed over the last few years and people all say different things. But from your perspective, who are genuinely helping people do this, what is the situation with that for a business owner versus content creator? Content creators is different because obviously they are front and center, they're doing it. But as a business owner, do you think everyone needs to be creating content and building a personal brand?
Everyone has a personal brand already.
Okay, good answer.
It's just whether you've been intentional. So like that LinkedIn profile, which is inactive for 3 years and says that you still work at your previous company, is causing problems if you've not updated it. So there's a little bit of maintenance. We all need to live in this world, right? And I think the most up-to-date thing is with LLMs. We signed a client last week who came across me from ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Very interesting call. He comes onto the call and clearly ChatGPT is saying good things. Because he was like, oh, it's so good to talk to you. Like, I've heard great things. And I'm like, have we met before? And he was like, no, like I was suggested 3 people. And every time I was talking to ChatGPT, it was saying out of the 3, I'd go with Joe and Amplify every time. So I need to thank OpenAI.
Yeah.
But like, so that's we're talking, this is going to be outdated advice probably in 1 month. But the thing now is like, we're back to the games of like, all right, like LLMs are reading our online profiles and stuff. I used to laugh when people would have a LinkedIn profile, which the about section was in 3rd person. Yeah. To be like, Joe Gannon is the
Yeah.
But now, like, that's kind of come back into play because our profiles, our websites, all these algorithms are looking at our profiles to say, is he an expert in his field based on his experience and all these different things, to then know who to serve the content up to. So there is a little bit of maintenance we all need to do. Everyone has a personal brand. Have you been intentional with it is the first question. But then to our point, it's like, the gold standard is when you can have content and have messages out there and media review. Daniel Priestley says it takes 7 hours to build a parasocial relationship. So he says, based on that, there should be 7 hours of content from you. He talks about that in Key Person of Influence. Yeah. So that's great advice. That's the modern world, and anyone who's a business owner should probably try and get that 7 hours of content. And it could be conversations like this. It could be media they've created themselves. Beyond that point, we've all got to be honest. Like, as long as there's not incorrect or information that's not factual, leading someone down the wrong path, we have to be honest with our goals. Does it help our business? And those are the real questions. As business owners, we get too busy to look at and consider. it's maybe not for every business, but definitely if you get it right, it can be such a help. And you only need to be as good as your competitors, really. So if you've got an eye on who else is in your space, if you're seen as a little bit more professional, have higher production quality, that could be the bar. Not everyone needs to be a Chris Williamson. He truly is a professional, and this is his full-time focus, and he's putting in the most crazy hours and now has the resources, and it's all coming back into the business. So to your point, like, creators and founders are two different people. I would actually say I've always been on the audience path, which might be surprising, but our clients were more, we got into the circles of trust with some of the best in the world who weren't reading my LinkedIn posts. So I realized I'm doing all of this activity on LinkedIn, building it up maybe like 15 hours a week, beginning to work with like a freelance editor, all these different things. But I knew that was like Joe's network for the future, like Joe's diversifying his options. I'm talking in the third person now. I promise I don't
Preparing for LLMs.
Preparing for the LLMs. Joe Gannon that's funny. But I realized this myself. I'm doing all this activity over here, building an audience, but that was okay because I wanted to do that. So yeah, even for myself, I had to be honest with myself that I'm building an audience online, putting time into this for the future, for my network, for future opportunities. It definitely indirectly has helped my business, but I would be lying if I said that qualified leads of our true ICP of the people we're trying to reach were coming from LinkedIn.
Interesting.
Maybe every now and then they're teams, but they were not scrolling on LinkedIn looking for a brand team, a strategist, and these different things. That's when I started realizing, okay, it's the founders, it's the entrepreneurs, it's the business owners. And then for me, the headline clients we've worked with has been pretty much like signposting of social proof. But then we were getting entrepreneurs coming in saying, cool, I'm not like one of those, but I trust you because of who you've worked with. So I had, if a business coach is looking at my numbers, they'd say, it is referrals, or it's, outreach we've done where we've put time to create content for someone up front. But even I had that disconnect because I wasn't measuring my LinkedIn success based on leads. That wasn't my intent. So we've since tried to go, okay, we shouldn't probably leave those entrepreneurs hanging, and maybe it's advisory, which I do now, or maybe it's a cohort and we can teach them what we know. And I didn't want to leave money on the table. I wanted to build a product, and I've done that since. But for myself, it wasn't like I'm growing a LinkedIn audience for leads.
That's so interesting because you've got a shit ton of followers on LinkedIn, right? You've got a good profile. That is, and it's like, you're saying that actually most of your leads don't come from LinkedIn. And on the one hand, I'm listening to that going, what the hell is the point of spending time on LinkedIn 15 hours a week if you're not getting, like you said, it's a part of what you do, and it's that social proof and everything. But again, coming back to being full-time content creator, it's a different thing. But coming back to running a business, you have to spend time running your actual business. How do you decide what's worth investing in time-wise? Everyone talks about LinkedIn, it's an essential part of what you do. You must be on LinkedIn every single day. You have to be building it. And I'm someone who's got a lot of business on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has done really well for me. Don't get me wrong. I see the value in it. But so many times I'm thinking also, if I just spent less time on LinkedIn or most of that time, say if you were investing in other forms of leads and doing stuff, is that better worth your while? You don't, and that's that balance. And like I said, personal branding, how much time do you spend building this personal brand? And for me, what I've noticed as well about the people who are obsessed with personal brand, it feels a little bit egotistical. It is slightly I want to be on a stage. I want to be known for this. I want to be a thought leader because I just want to be famous. Essentially, that's what it feels like. Their business is almost like a byproduct. It's oh, okay, I've got a business, but really I just want to be everyone to talk about me. And that's what feels like personal branding. Then it becomes a distraction from their business. And actually their business doesn't do as well because they're spending all this time trying to be LinkedIn famous sort of thing. Yeah. And do you see that? Is that something that a pattern you've seen?
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, 15 hours a week when I was doing everything myself, you're spending time in the DMs and doing everything. It probably takes about that amount of time. I'd say for any business owner, it should probably take around 2 hours a week, 2 to 4 hours a week.
Much more
if
manageable.
You've got the systems and the team. But everything has to be, flowing down in this content waterfall system. Your expertise, your thought leadership, your original thought can be even, the world has changed, but equally not a lot's changed. What was good content was original thought, frameworks, talking from experience. And if you couldn't do that, in the start of my career, I was just documenting the path to that. So, anyone can post, don't let that put you off. In the early days, I was just sharing, I listened to this podcast, it was interesting, or just had this conversation. Here's what here's what I'm learning in my career. Like, you can document on the way. But what hasn't changed is that it should be expertise, original thought, and experience. Share from lived experience. I believe content as a service. Like, people say sales as a service. I think everyone should post because we all have experience and life lessons. Like, I could learn so much from you, which you've grown your business in all these different ways, come across challenges. I'd love for you to share that so I can benefit. Every single person has all this knowledge. So to the point about people wanting to be famous, like, I think it's better to see it as like service. It's a little bit more sustainable, that you have information that could help someone. And I think that's why I've been in this industry for like 7 years, and we've helped educational content creators or entrepreneurs who had the craziest stories, but no time to share it. And I was like so enthusiastic and passionate to unlock that. So that's kind of where I live in the industry, is I think that people have stories and expertise the world needs to hear, and I want to help unlock that. Anyone listening to this who's not posting content, it feels a little bit like, I don't know, it's just a better angle if you're not sure on why you're posting. It doesn't have to be egotistical. But to your point, yeah, I think people do it for the wrong reasons. Some people are literally doing that though. That's their intent. It's like, I want to create content, build an audience to monetize it, or to get speaking opportunities. So that's what they're doing. Like, what you've called out is what they're doing. And I pretty encourage them, if you want speaking opportunities, like one every quarter, so you need 4 in a year, you should reverse engineer from that goal, and do outreach and like prove that you're capable of talking on stage, share content of you on stage, and all these different things. Like, that's the right thing to do if that's your goal. But yeah, I think a lot of people are doing it for the wrong reasons. And then to bring it back to your original point, if your content isn't your business, like if that's not your full-time thing, then it can definitely be a distraction, 100%. I've been there. And then you need to build the systems to literally distill everything down to just what only you can do in that sort of content waterfall system, so your voice is captured in all these different ways. And then you can have people, and you can sort of build a media team around you, because you need to focus on your business.
Yeah, and I think that's it. People do need to focus on the business, and they're not. And so I guess my question would be for business owners, for those business owners out there who are going, I need to create a personal brand, whether they, like you said, they already have one, but whether they are already creating content. And I think a lot of people are at the point where they're creating content, but it's not landing. Everyone's moaning about the LinkedIn algorithm, obviously, it's not reaching, but whatever platform they're on, say if they're creating content that they consider as good content, they're spending a lot of time, they're maybe even investing in production value, but they're not getting the results that they want in terms of vanity metrics probably, but the results that they want. What advice would you give someone who's a business owner who likes creating content maybe, but isn't sure what they're doing, and they're not getting the results that they want, they're not getting the leads? Where should they look? Like, how can they be improving? And what should a good personal brand journey look like?
I think the biggest metric of all with content is how useful is it? And the second question is who you're trying to be useful to. So with the business owner, we'd fall straight away to say that a successful personal brand for them is like X followers or this. But if you speak to your customers, you speak to prospects, you spend time in the DMs, and you ask them what content could you create to solve their problems, then that to me would be success, because you're being useful. And I spoke to Ali Abdaal recently. I did this summit online, and he was a speaker, and he says even to this day, his biggest criteria with any YouTube video is this useful? That's the bar. And that informs then the framework he's agonized over to make the information digestible for someone. So I think for any business owner, obviously, and I think this is advice across industries, is how can you educate someone on what you can do? So that is the criteria of success. So I think my answers usually deviate that success for a personal brand is unique to the individual, because I think that's the truth. Yeah. I'm not going to bullshit here. That's the truth. I would say that to 10 different people. So it has to come down to that. So it's if you, and I know you work with a lot of service-based entrepreneurs as well. So it's okay, cool. So if I take you as an example, if you truly helped a client get a transformation, do you think there's other people out there who are also in their situation experiencing pain? Yeah, of course. Yes, okay, so then it's the real work for all of us as entrepreneurs or anyone is, what did you do? What was the secret sauce? What was the method you did? Where was the aha moment? How did you help someone? What was the transformation? Yeah. That informs all of the content you should create. Then it's what's the right platform? Then there's a little bit of understanding the sort of trends, just the formatting. Content does need to look like it should fit in the platform. But all of the secrets to that is just scrolling your feed and seeing the market signals. You don't need to have a large following yourself, because you can just scroll your For You page. Every
Yeah.
feed has become a For You page.
Yeah.
You're being shown when you log in
Yeah.
the content which everyone wants to see, or where the demand is at least. Make your content, package it up in the right sort of way, and then just continue on that journey.
Yeah.
And then every time you get a comment or a DM, you talk to that person. What else can I create for you?
Yeah.
Amazing. And you keep going, and then suddenly, it's like, wow. Then you're charging for implementation.
Yeah.
And that's it. And you give everything away for free, and then they come back to you and say, that's a great plan. I want to do it. I haven't got the time. Can I hire you? And that's business.
That's the right way. But like you said, you've got to be in the DMs, but that's slower. And I think people want this mass kind of virality and everything coming to them, but actually you need to work and put that effort into it. I guess the only follow-up question I've got to that is, like you said, is it useful? Does it look good? Is it packaged in the right way? Now, so many people say they've done all that. They've got great content, it looks great, they've put the effort into it. Some people are delusional and think that's what it is, but it's not, there are some people. But there are legitimately some great creators out there producing really quality work, looks fantastic, but they're not getting the traction. And obviously they're getting frustrated because other people who are doing bullshit stuff, going viral because they're in their engagement pods or whatever, and their competitors are doing really well and they're not. That's what I think is causing the frustration. What advice would you give to those people who are consistently showing up and doing good work, but they're still not getting it? They're doing all the right things, but they're not getting the results. Like, what's going wrong?
Great question. Yeah, there's pretty lots of different reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes people, so let's just quickfire, let's go for quickfire, different reasons it could be. Sometimes people are not speaking to the audience, and they're sort of speaking to people who know them. So as an example, they're not optimizing. If they want to grow an audience, or even in the right way, they want to reach more of prospects, more of the right people.
Yeah.
Amazing. But they don't maybe realize that they're starting from humble beginnings and they're not known just yet. I think there is an element as well of respecting the platform you're going to be on.
Yeah.
So we've spoken about this before. If you're a business owner, you can only spend a couple of hours a week. Completely understand. But if you want this to be a success, sometimes the shortest path to success is the long way round. And if you're going to host a podcast on YouTube, you need to look at who's the best in the space and how does it look, or you do need to respect these platforms. And I think everyone does want all the success of their personal brand and for it to be a home run for their business, but they're not respecting the craft of it. And anyone that we watch as a success story, even if it's in business, even if it's an agency owner who is using LinkedIn successfully, or they've got a podcast which is helping their business, that's success. They haven't just arrived there. They haven't just recorded an hour footage of a podcast like this and just taken the raw file and put it on YouTube. Mm-hmm. It's they respected that YouTube. It's okay, what's YouTube? Titles and thumbnails. You can have the best video, but if no one clicks on it, they'll never watch the video. That's what Ali Abdaal spoke about 4 years ago. Oh, okay. Well, that's a little bit of an insight of how people use YouTube, how people consume YouTube, and you do need to respect that. So I think, unfortunately, a lot of people are putting a lot of effort and energy into content, into the personal brands, but they're just doing the wrong things. There's a really cool matrix called the effort impact matrix, and that's probably the thing I tell the team the most every single day, every single week, is the goal of the effort impact matrix is you want to ultimately create content which is low effort, high impact. So in our team, we always talk about effort impact.
Yeah.
So it's just in general, the highest performers do this, so you should think about it too, is that you want to create content which is low effort, high impact.
Yeah.
That could be that you do a podcast because you really enjoy the conversations,
Yeah.
and you look forward to it every week, and then therefore it's low effort, but you get so much material from it.
Yeah. It
could be that you do a newsletter. It could be that you do YouTube because you enjoy it. So people can agonize over creating the wrong type of content. I have to do video. Video is so important. Yes, it's great to be a 3D creator. I think every single person or brand I've bought from has had video. So it's okay, cool, that's good to know. Probably should do video. But if it's just not you do not need to try that. So I think people are doing all this activity, but unfortunately they're doing the wrong things. They're not respecting the platforms. Usually there's two types of content. You've got content which grows followers and content which increases engagement. If you just did content only, speaking to people as if they're sort of in the know already, and you're educating them on what you do, but by definition, to grow an audience, to grow followers, you need to be speaking to people who don't follow you.
Yeah.
So if we reverse it back, it's okay, so I can't pretend that they know what I know. I need to do content which gets reach and views. Not for vanity metrics, but I just love to map all of this together and like on a monthly basis, what is the content which is like for views, what's for followers, what's for comments, what's for this, what's for leads, and then put it all together like pieces of a jigsaw, because you need all of it together. So sometimes people just aren't speaking to new people, and then they wonder why the followers haven't grown. It's like, okay, I think the answer's there.
I think like everything you've just said though, the thing that cries out to me is that you need actual strategy. And I think that's what people are missing. And I talk about this all the time as a chess master. I love strategy, obviously. And it's that actually thinking through with consequences. And I used the word intentional earlier to you. Like, is that intentional kind of what you, as you said, what do you want out of your personal brand? And I think people just go, I need to make content because people will say you need to make content. I need a personal brand because I need to make, but they don't know what that looks like and how to show up. And I think that's it. Like you just said, which bits are for views, which bits, people don't know that. Like if you ask most people that, they don't know. I don't know half the time. Like I just feel like I'm sitting here and this, like you said to me, like high impact, low effort. This is for me. I love these conversations. This is easy. I just basically be in my living room or having a coffee and having these conversations that this is easy for me. This is not easy for most people, but it's easy for me. But I'd like to hope that it is high impact. I like to hope that this conversation is going to be so useful to so many people. And I guess that shows you that I need to be doing this format more.
Yeah, right? So what's your ambitions here?
Oh God, put me on the spot. To be the new Chris Williamson? No, I guess it's I want to take this more seriously. I want to make a real go of the podcast. I hated being known as a content creator. I hate being called an influencer. If someone says that to me, I get really insulted. Only because I guess the way that influence is known. I want to genuinely make an impact on other people's lives. But to be a content creator that people absorb because they want to have a no bullshit answer to business and they come for real educational content that genuinely helps them grow their business, as opposed to just be entertaining, being loosely inspiring and that sort of stuff. And so I want to have conversations with people like yourself who've genuinely built a business, who've genuinely been doing good work, and get them to tell the stories of how they're doing it and why they're doing it and inspire other people to do things legitimately. I think there's so much bullshit out there which is focused on the generic stuff, the hacks, the kind of, all those sort of things. And I think there's too much focus on it. And people are trying those things and wasting time, wasting money, wasting energy, as you said before. And it's destroying businesses. It's destroying morale. And I want to talk to the people doing it properly. And I want to encourage more entrepreneurs to build businesses in the right way, in an ethical way, that are sustainable businesses that are going to be here in the long term to create the lifestyle that we talked about at the very beginning of this podcast so they can have the best possible lives for themselves. And I want to do that because that's what I want for myself. But I've never, I guess, kind of gone all in on myself. I've always been helping other people grow their businesses. And I think it's time to start doing that for myself.
Let's go. I'm excited for you. Yeah, I think you should be doing it. I agree.
So there you go. I've just held myself accountable to all my audience now by saying that on it.
Why wouldn't you do it? Like, what is the reason right now why you wouldn't do it? It doesn't sound like there is one, but
scary. It's scary. It's definitely more high risk because helping other founders is, I guess, what I've done all my life, and so you get steady income doing that. There is. I was talking about monetization earlier. I've not monetized the podcast yet. I've not monetized my YouTube channel yet. I don't have a vision for that because I never considered doing that. It was always a side project. It was always a hobby. And so I think the fact is that I don't see that as a possibility to being a revenue stream. If that suddenly became a possibility, there was no reason why I wouldn't do it. But it's that sort of, thing where I also have bills to pay. I have a future to build. If I could see the impact of financial impacts that coming in, then I would do it. But because I've never considered it as a financial stream, I've never thought about doing it.
I think it's a really good point on just on sponsorships. I realized maybe similar to where you are right now, because you could get a sponsorship for this or because of all of the work until this point where you've helped so many entrepreneurs and founders. You've got the track record, so that's very attractive for a brand or to sponsor the next series. And that's not a crazy idea. It's already happening. So that. But then you told me earlier, you haven't spoken to sponsors just yet. And the same thing for me. I think 6 months ago I was I should probably start getting sponsorships, but I wasn't doing any activity. And this literally was a tap being turned on. The second I was I should probably start doing the work required to talk to some brands and just get the ball rolling. They're yeah, we'll pay that. I'm like, you kidding me? Like, this
It was
whole
that
time,
easy?
like,
Damn.
for both of us and maybe people listening, like, obviously, you know, I don't know. Sometimes those opportunities can come easily because all of the hours and hours and hours of free work you've done. Like, I probably have the worst per hour rate in my business.
Yeah.
You probably say the same.
Yeah.
And probably the worst per hour rate of my personal brand. And you may get a sponsorship of a couple of $1,000s now, but you're still in the red probably.
Yeah, definitely.
But, you know, I think for a lot of people, like, listening to this, like, you've sort of earned to finally get some wins which didn't require a massive push. I think that would happen for you. It's like, okay, cool. You're not saying to me that you've gone pro with this and you just unfortunately haven't generated revenue from it. It's like, you haven't even tried.
Yeah.
This is like, cool, what an opportunity.
I like that you've put me on the spot, thanks. And kind of held me accountable to it, because I think, yeah, it's really scary. It's just a scary thing, I think, going all in on yourself, because, yeah, when the rejections come, which inevitably they will come, then it's almost a personal rejection, which I think is harder to take. But like you said, I've not even tried. Like, at least I can do is try, you know? And I think that's it. So, and you never know what will come. Like we've talked about right at the beginning, you put yourself out there, you reached out to Ali Abdaal, you reached out to so many different people, and you wouldn't be where you are now if you didn't do that. So it just takes one person or one brand to believe in you for it to completely change your trajectory, right? So I just need to do it. And
yeah, I love you're beginning to go more professional. And like, you know, you said to me, you've taken all this equipment from the UK, right? Like that's a cost of entry that 99% of people wouldn't do.
Yeah.
So you're entering the territory to get opportunities that 99% of people can't get. Not to like, there's a podcast right now called TBPM. I don't know if you've heard of this.
No.
It's like a tech business show. And they've just been acquired by OpenAI within just over a year. And it's an extreme example, but they sort of dared to have a studio and they live stream and they'll bring on guests, and it's just kind of like, it's a mix between like, it looks like a sports show basically. Like it looks like you've got the ads at the bottom and you've got like the latest news on the right hand side, and they bring on live stream guests and they live stream for 4 or 5 hours a day. But they dared to go professional. They dared to do an extreme version, to build a concept, to create a category. We're going to do a business style live stream podcast in the shape of like sports. Went fully professional. The reason I'm mentioning this is because yes, that's like high cost, but that was needed to be a podcast which could get acquired by a OpenAI. And then OpenAI have just acquired them for, I think it said like the low hundreds of millions.
I mean, low hundreds of millions, who gives a shit? It's like hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
Like, that's nuts.
It's unbelievable.
For a podcast.
But they dared to go after a concept which had the ceiling to achieve it. So when you professionalize your craft, you allow yourself for sponsorships to be attracted to you and to want a reoccurring sponsorship slot. So there's, you know, I'll be the first to say for everyone, like, create content. Like, if you've got messages you want to share, do not let production quality, all this stuff, stop that. But there is, if you know, there is a world where you dare to be courageous, and by just doing that, you open doors for opportunities that you couldn't get if you were being more amateur about it.
Yeah.
So like, only that podcast could get acquired. So it's just, you know, it's like they swung for the fences and they got a home run. But and there's lots of examples of that nowadays happening. I think Gary Neville's podcast, The Overlap, have just acquired the largest like community Man United YouTube channel, and it's like, wow. Like previously, maybe the best case scenario with the podcast is firstly maybe a lifestyle business is like stage one. You can work on your own terms. Stage two was like your maybe getting very lucrative deals. There's now even that you can your community, your brand can get acquired.
That's crazy.
And then you're continued on as the host.
Yeah.
You just continue doing the same thing.
Yeah, but actually just being paid millions of pounds to do it. That's
it's like there's more saturation at the beginner level now. I'm the least technical person, but I was able to film a course in my apartment because ChatGPT. What camera should I buy? Set up the camera. What tripod do I need? Didn't think about that. Okay, cool. Okay, it's all blown out. I don't know what aperture is.
Yeah.
Take a picture of the screen.
Wow.
ChatGPT says, okay, cool. So you need to put a plant on the right-hand side, lower this, f3.2. Suddenly I'm filming in my apartment. But to your point, that you've got to be someone who's the drive to want to learn. Like, that's never going to change. AI is enabling the people who've got drive and creative and who are happy to take action. But so there's all this saturation at the bottom. Now there's the phase still today. There's great opportunity to professionalize. So you can make money from this. And then the ceiling at the top is lonelier than ever before for those who. But if you dare to do it, you can get opportunities that will change your whole life.
Yeah.
So it's an exciting space.
I mean, it's kind of, and when you just talked about that company, that podcast who've done like the streaming, it made me think. But I had this idea for years, and I've told loads of people about it, and they're like, "Oh, I want to do that with you," and I've never ever made it happen. Again, now I'm like trying to give accountability to myself by saying these things, but I've always wanted to do a 24-hour podcast, and it's like where we just go for 24 hours. Obviously, I don't think I physically can do that myself for 24 hours, but I would have other creators coming in and out, and we swap places, and we kind of do that, and it's consistently going. But also, it would be live streamed. But it's like, obviously, I would have people coming in day to day, and we could just join the conversation, and it's just no bullshit conversation for 24 hours. I wanted to do it as a charity thing as well, like kind of raise money and like get people involved. And I think it was really easy to do as a Zoom concept because obviously everyone just could log on whenever they want. But I would love to do it in person, but I'm guessing that would be the most difficult thing to arrange. But I still want to do that. I think that's a really cool concept. No one's ever done that before, right? And I feel like...
This is the thing, how fun. That'd be so fun.
Yeah.
It's memorable, it's savable, it's shareable. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I think we're in this space now where I think those ideas are rewarded.
Yeah.
I mean, do it for yourself. It's exciting for you. Like,
Yeah.
Do it for the intrinsic reasons.
Yeah.
But like, that's a great concept.
So there you go. I feel like I've just given you a concept on air and you just said it's a good concept. Why shouldn't I try and make this happen?
I look forward to it.
Oh my God, this is exciting. You're going to have to come back to London for that. You said you like the concept.
Maybe the 24 hours is like you do a podcast in the UK, you get on the flight, and then you get to Miami.
But I would have to film the whole time on the plane, like for like 9 hours. Be like, okay, that's going to be pretty boring. But oh my God, that's been, okay, fine. Enough about me. I'm going to be like, you've held me accountable to all these different things now. I feel like my life's about to change. But I want to end on a question I've been asking everyone, and it's, which I feel like is a good one for you in your industry. What do you think is the biggest piece of bullshit in your industry right now?
I think there's a misconception on the audience side that the people we see creating content are the most qualified, but they got there from creating content, and that's available to all of us.
Ooh, that's an interesting concept, because that is why, like, going back to what I said earlier about the people who want to kind of become famous from it and want to be known, there is that, like, when you stick someone in front of a camera, like people always say, like, if you put a microphone on someone, it gives that extra elevation of authority. Like, they are somebody important, they know what they're talking about because they're talking on camera. But again, like, going back to the bullshit, like, people are full of shit, but they have this high production and they make themselves look like they know what they're talking about. I guess then how do you determine, like, if everyone has high production quality, how do you determine who is legit and who isn't legit? Because say if you're an audience, who should you follow the advice of? Because, like, if there is a lot of bullshit out there, but they've got really high production quality, but actually the advice is really bad and it's actually going to be a detriment to you, like, how do you know who's legit and who's not?
I think with long form content, there's no hiding. Like, I think with newsletters, like a written piece, you can know if it's just parroted from other people. Versus the podcast, YouTube, there's no hiding. Like, we've had a chat for hour plus, and like, who we are has come out.
Yeah.
Like, it has. Like, it just has. And like, real meets real as well. I think business owners know the journey of the ups and downs and know that nobody is on an easy ride. And if anyone claims that, your bullshit detectors go up, right? So I think it's a problem because we're all shown content, and like, I don't think it's on us as like public people, or like I think there's definitely problems and there's dangers where misinformation can be shared to the public, because you could see something for 3 seconds in your feed, you didn't ask for it, take it as a fact and go on with your day. There's 100% a problem. But I do think, I think the general perception is like, it comes down to the message and the value of what someone's sharing. And this is why I like, we said about LinkedIn, the algorithm's changed. But like, it's amazing. If you're someone who has something to say, or you're someone who's curious and you're building and you want to share the stuff, and you're doing it all for the right reasons, platforms like LinkedIn, their AI models are sort of kind of doing the sifting for us of like who's authentic, who's not, who's just sharing stuff that anyone could share. So I hope we're out of the wave now where production quality can fool everyone, or on like a platform on LinkedIn, a lot of people grew just because it was early days in the platform, and they grew because they were like the only one posting. Now it's like, even me right now, I've gone a week not posting because I'm kind of like, I want to wait till I have something to say. And yeah, I've got busy too, but it's like now my advice is not just like post every day and get the volume, you're going to benefit from it. It's like, all right, maybe you should wait till you've got a useful take, because that useful original take will perform 10 times better at this point than like 10 posts which are kind of like average, or anyone could say it. So I mean, it definitely is a problem, but I think we're all kind of like spotting who the real ones are out there. We kind of know. We know the ones who kind of gamifying stuff. We've got to know the ones, it's public, right? I think with a lot of this stuff with social media, it's public.
It is, but some people are very naive with it. They just see the numbers and they believe it. Like, you see someone's post going viral every single time, they must think, oh, that's really good advice. Even though it's like, it's parroted, it's like, not even theirs. And other people do believe that because they have no idea that it can be faked to that much. And I think some people do believe that. I think like those people who are gamifying the system, they're actually aiming for the people who are more naive, and their products are like that. The courses are oversimplified for the naive people, and it's almost like a scam for those people, which sucks. But I guess that's why you pick the people you do to work with, because they are producing long form content. Like you said, they're actually producing good quality stuff. Then they're not bullshit, right? Because they're already doing that sort of thing.
I can't work with anyone else. Like, I've definitely held the business back. I've turned down clients we probably should have worked with, but I didn't want to work with the client. I didn't really believe in it. Didn't want to work with that person. Didn't want to support their voice or message. Like, I've definitely had periods of time where maybe the business financially wasn't doing well, and I had a lot of opportunities, and I didn't take it. But I think it comes down to, why are we doing these businesses? Stay true to your values. I want to build an audience which hopefully have got useful for me, and then even if I change my opinions in the future, or want to talk about different things, build different businesses, then hopefully they're along for the ride. Like, that's, if you're going to be a full-time creator, I think that's success, is that people will kind of stay with you through like phases of your own like development and learning. And there's definitely the people that I've learned from as like mentors who I've surrounded myself with. And anyone who's getting a quick buck or success, like there's been agencies that I've seen come and go in a year, made a lot of money, but they've sort of sold it, or they're out, or they made their quick buck and they're not doing it anymore. Like, the other side of personal brand we've not spoken about is when it goes, it's all reputation management. And if you've done some things which maybe didn't paint the best picture of who you are, you've done that publicly. So, not to like fearmonger on that side, but like your name and your reputation is attached to all of this stuff. So if you're circuiting your values in any shape or form, that might come back to bite you. So, and not to end on a negative note, but
but that is
the reality of it.
That is the no bullshit of it. And I think like it's not a negative note. And I think this is what a lot of people say to me about my content. Some people go, oh, you're being negative, and I'm like, no, I'm being real. There's a difference. And it's like, some stuff in life is a bit negative. Some stuff in life, you need a bit of dose of reality. That's what I call my content, is a bit of a dose of reality. Not everyone wants to live in the reality. Some people want to live in the happy fairy tale land and would rather not know the truth. But like, that is true. And I think like what you said about turning down work is so great to hear from my perspective, because it's so the hardest thing to do. And I did a solo audio podcast the other day on like compromising of values, because I felt like I did that recently by taking on a couple of the wrong clients from a monetary perspective, and it destroyed me. Like, I really should not have taken them on. And I think that the fact that you stay true to your values even during difficult economic times says a lot about who you are, and it's obviously why I wanted you on the No Bullshit Talks podcast for that reason. But not everyone wants to do that, and I think like it will eat you up. And I think, but certain people, like I said, who are doing the negative stuff, they're wired a certain way. I think that's the thing, and not all of us can do that. And I want to find the people who want to do things legit and build their business in the right way. So
love it.
Well, thank you so much. That's a great place to end, I think. And thank you so much for coming in. And I can't believe it's taken us 3 years or whatever to get here, but it's been totally worth it.
Yeah, I look forward to the next episode. Is like a team of 10, massive sponsors everywhere. You got like an F1 top with all these different sponsors on your t-shirt, and you've gone pro.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's my goal now. You've just made that vision board for me. That's what's going to happen, and I'll invite you back for a fluffed up episode with loads of budget that I can do.
Let's go. It's been great. Thank you.
Amazing.